Okay, so the web page looks really good, but there's definitely a lot of things we can do. And this is some notes I put together that I'll send you, so you can use it kind of for reminders and whatnot. But I'm going to go through all this with you. Hope this video, generally these take about 30 minutes. So the first thing I like to discuss with people is, what is SEO? Now you might have heard of SEO. I don't think you're technical, and I don't, hopefully that is not an insult if you are technical, but generally people I work with that are, have clinics and stuff, are very focused on their other clinics and don't have time for all this technical jargon. But a lot of people, I would say 10 years ago, SEO, let's say you were selling dog food. If you stuffed the word dog food over and over again on your website, you would rank for it. Or people put a bunch of, you make sure you put dog food in the title, make sure you put dog food in H1s and H2s. That stuff doesn't work anymore, and it actually can be harmful. And most people don't understand that. So if that was your impression, I'm going to show you that is not correct, and show you what the status of SEO is in 2019 and kind of what I think it's going to what's going forward. So the first thing we need to understand is what Google considers the top 3 factors in SEO. Now Google has said there are I think over 200 ranking signals, ranking factors. So not all of these, not one of these is going to make a huge difference. Well, I think there's these 3 main ones will. But certainly, and some of these things I'll point out are very minor, but it's all of them add up. And they will make a significant difference. So the main 3 are, and you can read over this, are content, which you don't do. Now you have your website, which has information on your product and services, and I think it's about 10 pages total, and that's good. I like that it's real small. It's a really good foundation. But one of the main ways to rank nowadays is to have a blog, and we will get into, I mean, you probably have no idea, like, what would I blog about. But the point of having a blog is not just write to write, but content that people actually want to read, and I'll show you how to determine that. And the point of getting blog content isn't, I mean, you don't want to educate, maybe you do want to educate people, but you want to drive traffic to your site. The more people that go to your site, the higher you're going to rank in the search results when people are looking actually for a therapist or a naturopath. And I'm not sure what the correct term is. I'm just going to use the term naturopath. It seems like you are more focused on more alternative natural solutions. And again, I'm not familiar with this jargon, so I'll try to use the word naturopath. And I'll show you kind of how to get some good content ideas. Now I would start with, at least for a few months, maybe writing 1 piece of content a month, and all these are suggestions. Once a week. Now if you don't have time once a week, you can outsource it to somebody on Fiverr from overseas, and they can do it pretty cheaply. Or you can do it yourself once a month. Just the results you're going to get are much slower. Then after you have some content built up, 30 or 40 pages, then you can scale back to once a month, even once every 2 months or something. But I certainly would focus on that, and we'll dig into this. The second ranking factor is, according to Google, now this is Google, this isn't Bing, this isn't Yahoo search, but Google is the big player here, right? Metadata. Metadata is, so if you search for I don't know why I'm doing hamburgers, but whatever. Meta descriptions are these things that appear under the search results. Now, if you have a meta description, it doesn't directly affect Google ranking you high or not, but the better your meta description, the more likely people are to click on it. If you don't have that specifically specified in your content, and Google is going to try to figure out what it displays here. So you don't want Google to do that. You want to tell it specifically what to put there. Saying that, Google doesn't always do that, but you want to point Google in the right direction. And a lot of these topics are very technical. There's a lot to, I mean, we could go over all of these specific points for a long, long time, days and days and days, but I just want to give you a summary of what needs to be done, or what. Oh, and when I say do this, do that, nobody knows the algorithm that Google uses specifically. This is all based on experience, research, other people's research. So what I'm going to give you is what I think are best practices, what other people think are best practices, and if you talk to somebody else, they'll probably give you a few other things, or maybe things that are slightly different. But I think most people in the industry I'm in will agree on about 80% of what I'm saying. Actually, what I'm telling you, probably 95%. I'm not suggesting anything too radical here. So that's that. Let me go back. And then schema. Now what schema is, you know what, we're going to get into schema. I'll point back at that. So that's metadata. in performance, and your website performs really well. One of the tools in my background really is in web performance, speed performance. This is how I got into SEO stuff, because people recognized that I knew performance, and they said, well, what else can I do to rank better? And I was like, so I started learning all that stuff. Now your page loads in 7.7 seconds. When they go to it, on the second load, it'll be 4.25 seconds. And why this matters is Google takes website page speed, as that article showed you, into account. So if your web page is loading in 15-20 seconds, you're going to go further down in the rankings. Also, the user experience is going to be horrible, and people are going to navigate away from it. If somebody clicks on your web page and hits the back button, that's a signal to Google that your page is not good. So you generally want to have these under 3 seconds is really, really good, but you're not an enterprise, you know, you're not IBM, you're not Amazon. Because I think it's like every extra second after 3 seconds, you can lose like 10% in revenue. But again, you're a clinic. Clinic's probably not the right word. You're a therapy center, whatever it is. So, I mean, even though it says 7 seconds, most people, I like to get it under 6 seconds, and you might be able to squeeze that out. But if you're even though it says 7 seconds, you're doing good with JavaScript, and things are loading at the end, and this is other technical stuff. So it looks quicker than it actually shows. So you can show, if you do watch video, and you can, so this is the timer. If you do start, look at that. Right at 1 second, it starts populating, and it looks like, so even though it's still done, let me see if I can go back. You know what, let me do the film strip. So you can see here, look, at 1 second, so that's good. It appears to be loaded fully here at 2.5 seconds, and that's under the 3 second threshold, which is really good. So all this other stuff is scripts loading and stuff. That's what's called below the fold. Above the fold is everything you see here on your screen. Below the fold is stuff down here. So even though it's still loading stuff, to somebody visiting your site, it looks like it's complete. So you don't have anything to worry about. There are 2 minor things if you wanted to look into them. I mean, it's up to you. Whoops, I think I lost it. There are a couple pieces of JavaScript here, and I put this in the notes document. And again, you can forward this on to whoever you work with on your website, who did a really good job on it. These scripts here and here are taking a while to load. See, they're about 3 seconds each, and you don't want them to take that long to load. See, this is 1 second in, this is 4 seconds in, and you can, if you see a website that stair steps like this, see how this? Let me zoom this out. See, stair step, like stair step. That's good. If your website is vertical, like all the things load slow, kind of, can you see my mouse? Kind of like a straight, slow line. That tells me that there's so many things loading at once, and there's some issues on the back end. So that's that. That's getting into some technical weeds, but I tested on a few different sites. Your score here's are good. Don't pay attention too much to 76. I mean, you probably want it green, but that's too technical, and you can't really. I'll give you an example. It's saying add expires headers, and it's saying add expire headers to these assets on your website, but you can't add expire headers to URLs that aren't on your domain, that aren't on on your website. You can't add expire headers to Google APIs.com because you don't manage it. So that's that. Let's go back here. Probably too technical, and again, that's a whole other. That's a huge topic. We went over the outdated techniques don't work. A lot of people will sell you on that stuff because it's easy, but it's lazy, and it doesn't work much anymore. And that's mainly because it's not. If you search for dog food on Google, Google's also going to show you results for puppy food and canine food and whatever, because it's smart enough to figure all these semantics out, right? It's not just searching for words anymore. It's actually trying to understand what these things mean, not just how they appear, if that makes any sense. And so a lot of the SEO stuff nowadays has a lot of overlap with digital marketing and promotion, and because the goal of SEO, to search engine optimization, is to optimize your page and everything you do to get it to the top, to drive more traffic. So putting it to the top of Google drives more traffic, and there's all these other things I'm going to talk about that'll help you drive more traffic. And that's what these indirect methods are. And this is what SEO is nowadays. And I showed you that exactly what Google said these 3 main factors are. Schema and metadata, content, and performance. And you get to a lot of these people that'll say, you know, we'll increase your traffic within a week. It's not real. We'll buy you, we'll sell you, we'll do you, we'll sell you, create a lot of backlinks for you. Backlinks are links that into your website. Like if somebody linked to your website from CNN.com or Fox News or Yahoo or whatever, Google would think your website's pretty legitimate, and it would increase it in the Google search results. Some people will sell you, we'll do 1,000 links for $50. Don't do that. You'll get penalized, and recovering from a Google penalty is extremely hard. Don't buy traffic. Don't do any of that stuff. Web Piper Smart is really good. We went over that. Schema. So what schema is, there's a good example I like to give people. If you have something on your website that talks about chocolate, Google can index the words, but maybe you're talking about chocolate the movie, or maybe you're talking about chocolate as an ingredient or as a food. So schema kind of tells Google what these things are and put things into context. Like for your example, and you have very basic schema implemented on your website. There's types of schema, and this is really technical, called schema person and schema local business. You would have, let me see if I can, gross. If you had schema set up properly on your website, when somebody searched for your name, they would get this box over here. Or it could be up top. It's just kind of, Google kind of does something. It would have the pic. If you told the schema, okay, this schema, this is a picture of me. This is my name. This is my company name. This is a description of my company name. This is my phone number and all that kind of stuff. These are my services. So you want it to appear, because people are very likely to click on this. They do click on this kind of thing, and it just looks real professional. And we think the more you implement these things, it shows Google that you're staying on top of things, because if you're doing this stuff, you know what's going on, and we think Google is going to rank you higher for it. Of course, I can't prove that, but it appears to be. It appears to be a fact. So you can have this person schema, local. So you want to tell Google that you are a local business. Now, without this, Google can figure it out, but there's no reason not to give it that extra push. Twitter rich cards. So if you share something, like I have a website, this is my test bed for testing new things out. It just answers weird random questions, like what is the temperature inside my refrigerator. If you go here and you go to Twitter, and I share this content, if I didn't, and I tweet it, and if you look at it, it has the image, and it looks real fancy. It has the subject and a little part of the content. If you don't have Twitter rich cards set up, when you share a link to your website, basically it's just going to be that. It's just going to be this, and nobody's going to click on it. So you want to get that set up. Google does use social signals to affect its ranking factors, so you want to make sure that's taken care of. Then the same thing, Open Graph. I think that's Facebook. I can't keep these terms straight. Facebook has its own, and so you want to get all that taken care of. Here's a good example of, I don't know why I put this in here. Oh, this is where you verify. Oh, I know why. It looks like you do have rich card, Twitter rich cards set up. However, let me show you. You do this and you preview the card. So this is how you can kind of test it out. You see it does show up good, but your picture looks really bad. So you need to figure out why that picture looks really bad. Now that's not directly going to affect your search rankings, but it's going to affect, if I saw that on Twitter, I would go, okay, maybe I don't want to click on this therapist because maybe she doesn't, or maybe they would, I don't know, but it's just something that needs to get resolved. Okay, so this is how you get content ideas. This is a really, I don't know a lot about your industry, obviously, but you certainly could come up with a lot of content ideas. And so a really good website is answerthepublic.com. It's free. I think if you do like over a few searches per day, that they will start wanting you to charge, but I mean, this is something I would do once a day. So like you could do like depression. And so if you go to Google and you type New Orleans Saints, you can see how it auto-populates this stuff. This is called auto-suggest. So if you type New Orleans Saints, these are things that people are actually typing into Google that are related to New Orleans Saints. So you go here, depression, and you can see here, I call these a circle graphs. I don't really know if that's what they're called or not. These are all questions people are asking about depression. I mean, you could type anxiety, you could type naturopath here and get a bunch of related content ideas. And if you don't want to zoom in and read that because it is tiny, you can go to data, and you can look here. Can depression cause weight loss? That would be an interesting topic, and people are searching for it, so there's no reason that you can't write that. Can depression cause acne? Can depression, and then of course you plug your service at the bottom. Can depression make you angry? And when you do content, you want to do at least 400 words, but I generally suggest over 1,000, and sprinkle these keywords in there. About 20% more than you normally would. You don't want to make, like I said, if you're selling dog food, you don't want to do this is dog food because we sell dog food because dog food is good, period. Dogs like our dog food because it's the best dog food in the world, because Google doesn't like that. Humans don't like that. But do try to sprinkle it in about 10 to 20% more than normal. And at the end of this, can depression make you angry? You know, write a few paragraphs on it. At the end, say, if you feel depression is making you angry, feel free to reach out to us because we can help. You know, all that. Of course, it gets more. It can get. I'd have to think through the specifics of that, but I mean, there's all kinds of stuff here. And this is just dementia. I mean, you could search for anxiety. You could search for naturopath. I believe I said that. So that's that. Or you could also use keyword cheater. It used to be called, and forgive me, keyword esser. You know, SHITTER. But apparently, it's not really professional, and so we changed it to cheater. And so what you do, and of course it's slow while I'm doing this demo or this presentation, and you type in depression, and it's kind of the same thing. And but this gives you a ton. If it'll just type all these content ideas, and you can stop cheating here. And you can do negative filters, positive filters. And if you leave this page and come back in 3 minutes, it'll continue populating. It's crazy. It's crazy how many, you would be surprised at what people Google. And if you do write about something, you might want to, like, does depression make you angry? See what's out there. And what I do when I write my content for my blog here, I really take the first 3 results, and then I kind of make them. This is the concept of my blog: concisely answering those random questions that pop into your head throughout the day that aren't important enough to write down and research later. So my goal, if you ask a question on Google, a lot of times you get to the content and you have to go down 8 paragraphs to get the answer. I find that frustrating, so I answer it up front. Then I kind of summarize. Can have different temperatures, blah blah blah. Items in the refrigerator can blah 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 blah, and then Google likes if you link. Oh, excuse me, let me get some water. Google really likes links, and if you link out to external resources, so this goes to the FDA, this goes to consumerreports.org, you can see it down here, and this goes to lifehacker.com. By linking to external places, it shows Google that you are part of the web ecosystem and you want to help connect people to other things. And that's another ranking signal. So you do want to do that. The best way to do it is just to create 3 sources and references at the bottom of all your documents, of all your posts, showing where you got it from. Now, you do not want to copy and paste other people's content. Google checks this stuff. If you copy and paste content, you're going to get penalized. So we'll get to, I guess we won't really get much to that, but that's I have it mentioned down here in my notes a little bit. And there's Uber suggests you can go there too. And I just put the few examples here. Like, I don't know what DBT therapy is, so let's do that. Let's do DBT therapy. I noticed that on one of your About Me page. I may not be able to do this again because I've already done 2. Let's see. I think okay, here we go. My web page, my web browser is acting up. Oh, it's because I'm zoomed in. Okay. And I mean, I think this would be a great article. What is DBT therapy? I can imagine a lot of people are searching for that. Your content needs to be very niche. Like, you don't want to say what is therapy, because there's probably 8,000 articles on that, but there's probably not many on what is DBT therapy. Let's see. Does DB therapy work? That would be awesome. Is DB therapy covered by insurance? That's awesome. So the goal is for you to write interesting content that people click to your website, if you show that you're an expert in it, then people go, this person knows what they're talking about. Let me let me schedule an online session with them. So that's kind of that. And again, we could go on for hours about this stuff. So niche, as I was saying, you want to be more specific. Like, I think you should focus on really, like, and it doesn't mean you can't do like depression counseling, but I think you should focus on DBT therapy for depression counseling, and then create a landing page for it and advertise or go to that specific landing page. So another content idea would be mailbag. You know, you say these are questions that were submitted to me, even if they weren't. You know, you can kind of make it up. That people like that kind of stuff. Compare to competitors, see what they're doing, and if they have interesting articles that are getting a lot of traffic, then take what they're doing, write it better, then add about 10 to 20% more words to it, and a lot of times you'll outrank them. You want to do at least 400 words. And sprinkle your focus keywords in your posts. Like I said, you want to use them about 10 to 20% more than normal. Make sure all of your links are working. You need to run it. You don't use WordPress, which is kind of a bummer. It makes a lot of this stuff really easy, but you just need to make sure there's no broken links on your website. And I would just run like a daily script and get notified if there is. Now, anytime I write content, I use Grammarly. There's a plug-in here, so when you start typing stuff, it'll look for grammatical errors. There's also a standalone app, but there's a premium and it does more grammar checks and stuff. But I used it for a year and it is good. But I think the free option does about 80% of what you want. Then I copy paste it into Hemingway Editor, which is an online tool, and it'll check for other things. And by the time I run through both of those, I get a pretty good document with no spelling errors, no grammar errors. And so after you get a lot of content, so let's say you write about, does DBT therapy work? After about 2 years, or a year, whenever, if somebody else writes a blog post on that, they could outrank you based on the updated, because theirs is more recent. So one thing you want to do is, after you get a lot of content, just go into it, make a few changes, you know, kind of shift things around, maybe even change 5 words, and then just save it and submit it again. This signals to Google that the content is fresh. I do one a day for my websites, but that's probably overkill because I have hundreds and hundreds of posts. That would be overkill for somebody that has 50 posts. And I would make sure everything's touched at least once a year. Like I said, if you don't want to deal with content, you can hire people that will live overseas very cheaply on Fiverr, so you can look into that. Keep your sitemap updated. Sitemaps tells Google, another search engine, what is on your website. So it's kind of like a roadmap to what's on your website. So you want to make sure this is all correct. I'm not sure if this is all configured properly, but you want to look into that. Now, let me see, hopefully, I just thought about something. Let me make sure I have it. Okay, this is concerning to me. You do have an issue. You're wondering why you're not ranking. All of your pages, most of your pages, aren't indexed for whatever reason. So you want to look into this. Like this page, this is probably one of your main pages. Whoops. I don't know why that's popping up. Okay, well, I do know why this is popping up, and okay, this is because it's a new beta test version of Chrome. If you do it in an older version, okay, well, I'm going to get to this issue too. This is a huge issue that you have. See this? This is where a lot of your key data is, keywords are, and it's not being indexed, so that's a big problem. And you can verify that by going to, I thought I had it in here. Okay, so this is called a Google Dork. If you want to search just a website and not anybody else's, you can do this, and you can search relation. So this is going to search for every page on your website that has the word relationship in it. Maybe it is. So maybe it is. I think this might have been the same page.
Hey now.
Okay. Maybe it is indexing that page. So no, okay, look, it went to your home page because for some reason, even though it's appearing here, your couples and relationships, I think what happened, so, okay, this is going to get technical. This is, if the page does not exist on your website, it 404s, which is 404, that's a HTTP code, meaning page does not exist. And on your website, if a page does not exist, it's configured to go back to the home page. So something is very screwy here. It says it's not indexing, and even the ones that are indexed looks like they don't exist. So that's a big problem. That's why you're not ranking. Well, there's a lot of reasons, but that's one of the reasons you're not ranking for anything. Flesh score, basically Google likes content that is written for, like, I think it's a 10th grader. You can type your text into here, paste it, and see what it thinks the readability level is. It's just common sense. Don't write anything like overly complex just to sound overly complex and smart. Okay, SSL needs to be configured as soon as possible. This is a huge thing for you. If you go here, see how it says not secure? You're getting heavily penalized for this. You don't have your website needs to be HTTPS. So, like, for example, if you go to my website, and I know your website's totally different than mine, you get the padlock here. That means your website's secure. Especially if you're doing any kind of e-commerce. I don't know if people are doing credit cards on your website. You're not going to rank. 10 years ago, you would have ranked with HTTP, but you're certainly not going to rank highly anymore if you don't have HTTPS configured. So that's a really big thing that needs to get fixed. And then once you get it configured, anytime somebody types http://website.com, you need to redirect them to https://website.com. Your chat is great. I love that you have chat. That's a huge thing nowadays. I would also, most people look for chat down here to the bottom right. I would put it there as well. On your web page, you need to tell Google who you are. Your name is here, but this is a graphic. I mean, Google can kind of read images now and make out what these words are, but you need to sprinkle your name on this home page a couple of times. So it's Margarita Kogan, maybe like, you know, like at the end, sign, not signed, but like dash Margarita Kogan, showing that you wrote this. Just a couple times. Don't overdo it. You could probably weave it into a couple of these paragraphs. Yeah, you definitely need to do that. Yeah, so we went over these. These pages aren't indexable. I would migrate to WordPress. It's just easier to manage a lot of these things. There's a lot of plugins that make adding and updating content extremely easy, and I definitely would consider that. But that's something you need to decide. On your specialty or the meat page, this is a good way for you to create some external links. See, like DBT, I would create a link here that goes to a resource on Psychology Today or whatever. I don't know what the reputable websites are in this business, describing what DBT is, IFS, things like that. Maybe a link to Yeshiva University, Fordham University. I mean, these are, maybe not those, but definitely these two. And those are external links that goes back to the point that I made earlier. Oh, and there's a typo at it impacts your life date. That's an O. Okay, let me go back here. Okay, what do we get? We're at about 30 minutes. Okay, hopefully I can make this quicker. Effects. Right here, see this? It impacts your life daily. This I is not highlighted. I would also change this red font. It's pretty horrible on this background. And Google takes this stuff into consideration, actually. Like, are things readable? Are the fonts too small? Change that font color for sure. And like I said, each one of these is, not each one of them, some of these are minor, but they do add up. Okay, we run through content through Grammarly, Hemingway. We went over that. Let me get rid of that. I think you have a really nice picture. You look very friendly and trustworthy. I would not only have the image here, I would have like a video hello, you know, like, hey, this is me, whatever, you know, I don't I have no idea what to say, but I would have something like that, like a video introduction. Research has shown people tend to trust people more in videos than they do in photos. I don't know why. You probably can explain that better than I can, but I definitely would do that and just embed it into that page. I would also do it on the home page. I think also something cool for your website, and like I said, this may not direct your... Actually, Google does like videos, so videos may impact this some. I think like a tour of the office, like a video tour, kind of this, it just makes people feel familiar with things and makes them feel comfortable. I would think that would be a cool idea. And again, that's just a couple of my thoughts. I'm thinking about, for me, if I went to a web page for somebody that was offering counseling, I think if I watched them on video and they seemed comfortable with themselves and they seemed like somebody I'd get along with, I'd be a lot more prone to reach out and contact them. From a video picture, you can't see that as clearly, or you can't make that opinion as clearly. Okay, so example on the Meet page, alt tag. So what alt tag? So here, if you look at the name of your file, your picture, it's, and so many people do this, it's 970 blah 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 .png. What you want, and then if somebody hovers over it, there should be a little toolbar or tooltip that has your name. Not only is that for blind people, but also a lot of people don't take into account. Let me get your name here. I always mistype it. Margarita. Doesn't seem like it would be that complicated. If somebody searches for that, you want your picture to appear here, or even, you know, here. And see, look, Margaret Hogan in New York is showing up before you, which may be legitimate, but you know, you want it to show up here. Okay, yours does show up there, but it definitely would. Oh, that's from Psychology Today. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. You definitely want the link going to your webpage. Now, the reason you do this is because if they click on the link, it goes to your webpage. You don't really want it going here, even though it's okay to go here. Of course, they can contact you, but that's a click not going to your webpage. A click going to your webpage helps you in the search result rankings. So we went over that. Twitter, I didn't see you had a Twitter account. Twitter is always a good thing, and one thing I do, so let me show you. If there's ever anything trending on Twitter, like Halloween's coming up, so you know hashtag Halloween will be trending. And my search isn't working. See what I discovered something wrong as well. Huh. Okay, it's probably that browser. So what I do, where did Halloween come from and why do we celebrate it? I'll go to Twitter, and when it's trending, you know, explore, and you can see Halloween trending. Let's say Matt Gaetz, well, I don't want to get into politics, enter 50. This was Happy Halloween. I would go to these and say,
Hey now.
this cool article explaining where Halloween came from and link to it. I don't make it sound like it's me, but so you get the idea. So you want to pay attention to what's trending and link any of your content to it, especially on like National Suicide Prevention Day. You could write a good article on that, how to help with it, and so you could also just do it in the and then link to it, you know, blah blah blah, and link to it. But I find it more effective for me is if I find posts that have a lot of comments in them, especially like if like the BBC or CNN is wishing Happy Halloween, go into the comments and paste it there because more people are prone to click on that. So I mean, that's my website is not like your website, but hopefully you get the idea. Just stay on top of things, and you can do that sort of thing for Facebook as well. And you can even Google for like depressed and find people who say they're depressed and maybe reach out to them and offer them counseling, or people who say like I'm on the brink of suicide, search for the word suicide and reach out to them. Now that might get a little personal, you'd have to test that out. If a lot of people start blocking you, then you don't want to do that at all, but that's something you could decide. Put address under map. On your web page, it looks really good and you have the address here, but it's embedded in this map. And Google might be able to figure that out, but I would also put it probably can since this is a Google map, but I would also put it down here just to be sure. Okay, like Health Grades and Psychology Today, I did notice, and I don't know all the relevant websites for therapists or naturopaths or whatever. I would go in here and update these profiles once a month, once every 3 months is even fine, because it could be that they will how do these websites determine? If I type therapist, how does this website determine who to put first? It may be because these people are active and update their profiles more often. So I would make sure you get in all of these directories, and we'll get into that, like Health Grades, Psychology Today. I think U.S. News and Daily Report oddly has one of these, and then keep them updated basically. Now Google My Business, you're not in Google My Business, Yelp, Better Business Bureau, Yahoo Local, Bing Places. You need to get into all of those. It's a huge ranking factor, even though you only do, I believe, online therapy at this time. But if you're going to branch out to local therapy at some point, even if you may not, you need to be in My Business. And the reason is, if you search for, this is a local pizza place, you want to show up right here. Or even, they don't have schema configured, but even over here on the right side. And you need to, so it gets in, again, this is another topic that we could go on for a long time. The main thing is you need to Google, apparently, and I think they might have said this, local SEO is what it's called. One of the main ranking factors is reviews. You want to get positive reviews, and you want to respond to all positive and negative reviews on Yelp, on Bing Places, on Google. One thing that a lot of people do that's really good, anytime somebody leaves, give them a card or an email, however you want to do it, asking for a review and link specifically to your Google page, your Yelp page, and blah, 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 and then offer like a 20% discount or a 5% discount or whatever. And then just make sure you respond to every review. That's a huge thing. Backlinks still rule. This is a whole other topic that's days and days of explanation, but the more backlinks you have coming into your website, the more Google is going to think you're reputable. This is a really good, this is the techniques that I use here. You can click on that and go through it. But ways to find places to get backlinks, you can just search for niche directory. So, Naturo. Look here. So this is this. You want to submit your business to these directories. Because if somebody searches for naturopath, whatever it is, in Florida, you want your name to show up here. So even if nobody gets your name from this directory, it's a backlink to your website, and it'll help with your search ranking. And I just listed these 2 URLs. Whoops. There's probably a ton more, like a lot of local business directories, things like that, like city directories, directory plus city. These are things you can search for in Google. So you could search for therapist directory, you could search for psychology directory, counselor directory. You want to find blogs that people are talking about stuff related to your business, and ask if you can write a post there, and then become an expert, become a contributor to that blog, and link back to your website. And the ways you can find these is by doing this. You could also search for Google Naturopath Write for Us. These are websites that are looking for naturopaths to write content on their website, or mental health guest post, whatever, or naturopath guest post, or whatever. These are people looking that will allow people to guest post on their blogs. Podcast, I think, would be another really good thing for your industry. What are some alternative health podcasts? Look at this. Reach out to these people, give your credentials, say you'd love to do an interview on their podcast. That's going to generate traffic. So, that's another idea. So it's a lot, as you can see, it's a lot of work. And the good news is you don't have to do these all at once. You don't have to do these all in the next month. These things don't expect results from, even if you did 20% of this, don't expect any realistic results for 6 months. It takes a long time to build this stuff up. All this stuff you may not get to for a year or two, but these are things that you should work towards. Do not duplicate content. We said do not copy and paste content. You can check here and see, and these tools aren't perfect. If your content's being used, you need to contact the provider or the content creator on their website and ask them to take it down. Doesn't always work, but it does, and you need to make sure all of your content is not duplicating. Grammarly has a built-in tool that checks for that as well. Oh, I'm sorry, don't plagiarize. Well, okay, yeah, don't duplicate and don't plagiarize. So those are very similar things, but don't do that. Another thing that would be really cool for your website, people love lists. Top 10 things to take into consideration when top 10 things people don't know about depression in natural therapy. Or what, I don't know the exact word. So what you do is on your website, you create that. Might have a little pop-up come in down here from the right. Definitely include it here in the sidebar somewhere. And that's a way to grow an email list. People are much more prone to sign up for your email list if you offer them free stuff. And just make it a book that's actually useful. Like, it could be a 10-page thing. It doesn't have to be a lot. So when people search for that, whatever on Google and they come to it, they'll sign up for it and they'll get it. And then you can upsell your services in an email list. But definitely do have some kind of ebook. I would have a YouTube channel and just do Q&A something. I don't know. I'd have to think through this to give you some better ideas, but kind of like a mailbag type thing. And even if you don't have anybody mailing you any questions, you could say, Joey from Arkansas wanted to know X, Y, and Z. Like I said, people love lists. You don't just want to have an ebook on what should I ask my doctor. Do top 10 things people want to know or top 15 things. And then on your YouTube videos, of course, link back to your webpage. Again, this all seems overwhelming as it is. And you don't have to do all these things, but some people like doing some things. Some people like doing other things. Video office tutor, and I would say include you, because you look very trustworthy, you look very professional. And I think people would be more prone to go there if they, seemed comfortable with you. You need to have Google Analytics so you can see where people are coming from, what they're doing, what they're clicking on. That's a 4-day conversation. Google Search Console, you want to make sure Google is indexing all your sites. If you had this configured, you would have got an email alert telling you that those pages are not being indexed properly and you need to figure out what's going on. Make sure there's now malware on your site. If they detect any, there will be manual actions listed, and you need to take care of those as soon as possible. Just pay attention to what's working. Check what keywords are successfully being used to get to your website and optimize your content for that. Make sure your sitemap is submitted to Google so it knows what content to index on your site. Press releases are a big thing. You get a ton of backlinks for them. It's not, most people may not even see it, but if somebody searches for your name and they see you're involved with press releases, it shows that, wow, this person must be on top of their game. So just come to, there's 50 places, and I think there's websites that'll submit all to all these press release organizations for like $50 or something. But just there's no reason not to have press releases. 3 a year, something like that. And I don't even know what you would press release, but I'm not in that business. Follow the followers of your Twitter, of your competitors, and hopefully they'll follow you back, and then you unfollow them a few months later, of course. That's how you grow your Twitter following. I would suggest boosting, once you post things on Facebook, if you post good content to Facebook, boost it, which is like advertise it, for $5 a day. You can get a lot of clicks on that. And you can target like people who have interest in depression or people who suffer from depression. Now, Facebook, and you've probably heard about all this news, knows a lot of these traits that people, they know what people are reading, they know what people have interest in. So target people that have interest specific to your business, and then when they like your boosted post, invite them to your page. You can grow a huge following for that. On my blog, I've grown it to over 1,300 followers in about a year, and I honestly only do about 10% of what I should be doing. I'm confident I could have this over, I don't know, 10, 50, maybe even 50,000 if I spend a lot of time and money on it. But you can get a lot of bang for your buck just advertising 5 minutes per day. You really can. Most people don't realize that. Just don't forget about Bing. Bing and other websites are about 10% of the internet's traffic. For example, if I typed in Coke here, which a lot of people do on Windows, it brings up Bing. It doesn't, whoops. Red Sox. It brings it up in Bing, not in Google. You also want to consider, and once you submit it to Bing, it'll also eventually get out to Yahoo Search and DuckDuckGo and those places. You also want to consider submitting your search engine to Yandex, which is Russia, and the Baidu, which is China. The reason is nobody from China is going to, well, you will. You have online sessions. They could sign up for your therapy online from different countries. But you want your content to be indexed for these search engines. So if somebody is searching for one of your, what are the 10 key signs to depression, and they're from China, they might go to your blog and get it. Even if they don't sign up for a therapy session, once they click on that content, that's another link to your page. It's another click to your site, which shows, it earns trust with the Google algorithms. Haro, this is a great resource, especially for something you're into. We do Haro. Let's hire a reporter. Reporters are always writing about things. journalists, and they're looking for experts to help them with it. So you can go here and get alerts for journalists that are writing topics about health. If you see one that's interesting that you can contribute to, contact them. Say, hey, I'm a doctor or counselor or whatever. I'd love to help you out. Here's my credentials and then they'll quote you in the story and then link back to your website. And if you get one of these on, Yahoo Health or something, that's huge. It's totally going to help your rankings. Definitely want to look into that. We went over the search Twitter. This is a horrible example of somebody that's selling her services on Twitter. It's a good text. It's a good teaser. The tags are good, or what are they called? Hashtags. But there's no link to her website. It has it here in the image, but you want to actually have a link to your website, right? So don't do that. That's just something when I was doing research, I came across that. I would offer a deal to all people you reach out to. Well, maybe not. I don't know. Lowest price guarantee might not be good for your industry. I don't know, but consider it. Pay attention to trends, share content, share all your content to your social media channels for sure. You can automate a lot of that with Buffer. Let me show you. So you basically put a link to your content here, and it'll automatically share it to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever. So you don't have to manually deal with it all. Okay, we're winding down. Check for broken links regularly. We went over that. To pop up or not to pop up. Pop-ups are annoying, but I think it's reasonable to have a pop-up. They do work, but they're very annoying. To have it pop up from the bottom right. Your ebook would be a good example. Test, test, test. So inspect user Bob. Basically, you can pay $20 a month. I'm sorry, $20 for 1-minute user sessions, and it'll show people navigating your site and talking out loud about what they think of your site and what you need to improve. It's awesome. Inspectlet. You install this JavaScript on your code. It's very easy to do, and you can actually see people on your site, and you can see what's working, what's not. So you can see somebody searched for, can you mix prescription ibuprofen with over-the-counter, and got to my site, and if you click on it, this is not me moving my mouse. You can actually see how they navigated my site, and you can kind of see what people are reading, what people are clicking on, what works and what doesn't work. And you can see here's the timer up here. Now these take a long time to watch, so you can speed them up to 2 times. You can speed them up to 4 times. You can see it gets through it real quickly. So you just want to keep an eye on that. I spend about an hour a month looking at these. And the other thing is your site might be broken to a lot of people. You may not see it because you're only seeing it from your web browser and your computer. But so many times I've looked at my websites, my clients' websites. If you watch these sessions, maybe this image is way over here to the right and it's broken. Then you need to track down why that is. So you definitely want to look at that. I know this is very technical. You can test on your own using like Browserling. I think I have it here somewhere. But Browserling, basically you type in your website and it shows you what it looks like on an Android phone or on Internet Explorer or whatever. So consider advertising. We went over this. And also advertise using your competitors' names. Because, like, for example, if I was Burger King, I would advertise on the keyword McDonald's. So I would appear above McDonald's in the Google search results. Then people will click on that sometimes. So it's a whole thing. You can get into this. Reddit and Core are great advertising places, very cost effective. So if you want to keep up with all the latest news on SEO, I would go to SEO Roundtable. I have nothing affiliated with it, but there's so much stuff that constantly changes. I used to get on 10 email lists, and it's so hard to keep track of. These people summarize daily stories from around the web and write little summaries for them, so you can stay on top of things. Even if you don't have to do it every day, you can, something you can pay attention to when you have time. I spend about 10 minutes every day looking over it. Follow these two. This is Google's official webmaster account. You want to see what they're saying. And John Moo is the lead Google, I guess, maybe not the lead, but one of the main Google search guys at Google. And he's always posting things like things that do work and don't work. And you can find a lot of good information there. There's all kinds of people you could follow, but it just takes too much time. I do have a spreadsheet that I use to track things, the growth of websites. So like here. And I can share this with you as well. I'm bringing it up. On 9/20, I used to do this every week, but and actually haven't done it in a while because just other things take precedence. You can say, look, my Alexa global ranking, it used to be the 10 millionth most popular website in the world, and now it's the 1 millionth. And so this is the amount of backlinks coming into your website, how many impressions you're getting, what is the worth of my website, what's the directory authority, the page authority. This is all other top, like AdSense revenue, all these kind of things. And this just shows you if you're ranking well, if this is improving, you're getting more and more popular, you're doing a good job. If you're going down, you're not doing a good job. So that is that. I know this is a lot to absorb. I'd rather give you too much information than less. Again, you don't have to do this stuff right away, of course, right? This could be implemented over multiple years, you know what I mean? This is a lot of stuff. So hopefully this helped, and feel free to reach out to me with any questions or if you want that spreadsheet. See ya.